So today our presentation, or my presentation I guess, is on thickening liquids. This is a demonstration speech, and my jaw is slowly working, so hopefully you can hear me and bear with me for it. So at the end of this presentation, I would just like you all to have a better understanding of how to thicken liquids and why we do it in a healthcare setting. So the patients that have the most difficulty chewing and swallowing, or have a high aspiration or high choking risk, are the patients who really need to have their liquids thickened. And those include patients such as stroke patients or brain injury patients who have lost some of the abilities to actually function and swallow. Why we do it is just to, again, decrease the risk of having a patient choke or improperly swallow a liquid. The thicker a food or a liquid is, the easier it is for patients to swallow it. So to thicken a liquid, we actually just need a few things: the actual order from a doctor to thicken the liquids, the actual liquid, and the thickener. So each container of thickener will actually have on the container directions about how much thickener to use for what liquid you're using. You can literally thicken almost any liquid. It's kind of cool that way, I suppose. So all you do for water is it's about a teaspoon of the thickener. The thickener that I'm using is actually one of our older brands from work. It isn't clear, so we now have one that is clear at work, which helps some of the patients with the look of the actual water that they're drinking. So it does have a cloudy color to it. Some of them do, though, depending on the thickener brands and colors. So it should, as time goes on too, it gets a little thicker. That's really all that it is. It's just like a powder that you add into liquids. And as that sits there, it actually will thicken up a little farther. So you never want to over thicken something, because again, as time goes on, it'll actually thicken itself more. Some things too, there's different thickener levels. This will actually turn into something that's called nectar thick. So it's still a little runnier. It's like the first level of needing thickened. The next one, it's more of a honey consistency, so just a little thicker than just the nectar. It's kind of in the middle. And then ultimately we would have a pudding consistency of liquid thickener. So there's a couple different ways that you can thicken it, or thicknesses that you can thicken liquids into. With that comes some complexities. Again, sometimes the color, depending on the brand that you use, if it's cloudy and it's supposed to be water, it can be kind of displeasing for different patients. It also, depending on the texture, can have a different taste for each patient. So usually water, patients only like it most times if it's nectar. Patients usually do like juices. Juices tend to have a different flavor with the consistency that they do have. It helps with some of that. Also, adding lemon into water, or really any of like the juices, anything that would make it taste a little bit better, we try to do for our patients there. And lemon seems to be a good one. We have little lemon powder packets that we can use to add into the liquids to make them taste a little bit better. Another thing we have with the complications of the color or the consistency, it tends to be patient dehydration. And again, that's where sometimes the lemon or something that helps it taste a little bit better comes into play, because it's important to keep everybody hydrated, especially sick patients. So one other complication can come with soda. With soda, actually, if you begin to mix it and you would just pour the actual amount that it requires into the soda can, it'll actually froth up and become a little science experiment. So it actually bubbles and can create quite a mess. So sometimes, depending on the liquid, you have to be a little more careful with how quickly you're stirring it and how much you're putting in at a time, simply because each liquid reacts a little bit differently to the thickener. In reality, it'll all taste the same at the end. It just it'll get a little messy in the process of doing so for you with soda. But you can thicken anything from coffee to apple juice to water with the thickener that we have here. That's really it. It's not too terribly exciting. Again, as time goes on, the thickener will get a little thicker as it sits in the cup. Just a couple reminders yet that really no patient specifically likes to have their liquids thickened, so it is nice to just add little things here and there that can help it go down a little easier for everybody. patients do appreciate when you try or have the effort to make it taste a little bit better, make the experience a little bit nicer for them while they're there. So, and that's really it. And my audience is lovelily sitting around here. I'll just kind of turn it, or can you turn it for me? I don't know. And that's my audience of 3. So, and I believe that's it.